Some stories continue to tug at our heartstrings. Why? Because they reveal uncomfortable truths about human relationships. Welcome to the first in a series exploring how literature reveals the emotional complexities of relationships between men and women. Have you heard the expression, love is a many splendid thing? The phrase suggests that love contains many emotions and experiences: joy, excitement, intimacy, and even insecurity. Many of us long for a love that feels lasting and secure. If we are lucky, love can begin with the dizzying feeling of being seen and wanted. But sometimes something darker creeps in: fear, jealousy, insecurity. What once felt comforting can become destructive. Shakespeare explores this tragic transformation through Othello and his young bride Desdemona. What begins as devoted love slowly collapses under insecurity, jealousy, fear, and eventually death. Jealousy. Shakespeare famously describes it as the green-eyed monster. In Othello, it slowly transforms a man deeply in love into someone consumed by fear and suspicion. But perhaps jealousy is only part of the tragedy. Perhaps what destroys Othello is the fear of losing not only Desdemona, but himself. At the beginning of the play, Desdemona and Othello appear deeply devoted to one another. But their relationship slowly begins to unravel after Othello is manipulated by Iago, a trusted officer who repeatedly suggests that Desdemona may be unfaithful. At first, the doubts seem small, but fear rarely stays small. Othello has never been secure of his place in the Venetian society. Celebrated as a courageous general, he is also fully aware that his race makes him an outsider. Often referred to as the Moor rather than his name, Othello's marriage to Desdemona is unfathomable in everyone's eyes. So when Desdemona chose him, this woman of standing, of beauty, of everything Venice values, part of him never stopped wondering why. Not because he doubted her sincerity, but because he doubted his own worthiness. Jealousy then doesn't arrive in Othello as simple suspicion. It arrives as something that feels horribly familiar, horribly close to a truth he has been outrunning for years. It doesn't take long before Othello starts to change, being manipulated by Iago, who insinuates that Desdemona is not who she really is. And once that first seed of doubt is planted, everything begins changing. Fear quietly rewrites the way Othello sees the world. Suddenly, every glance feels suspicious. Every kindness Desdemona shows to another man becomes something to examine and fear. He is no longer truly seeing his wife. He is searching for proof of what, deep down, he has already begun believing about himself: that he was never quite worthy of this love, and that happiness was never meant to last. By the final act, love itself has become unrecognizable. What once began with tenderness, admiration, and devotion slowly collapses into suspicion, fear, and emotional violence. Othello no longer sees Desdemona as the woman he once loved, but as the source of his anguish and insecurity. And perhaps that's what makes Shakespeare's tragedy so unsettling. It makes us confront how relationships can be so fragile. Once fear enters, people stop loving each other freely. Instead, they began to search for reassurance, certainty, and proof. Love then slowly turns into suspicion. What makes Othello enduring is not simply the tragedy of one man's jealousy, but Shakespeare's understanding of how fragile human relationships can become when fear begins to overpower trust.